the divisive finale of Squid Game Season 3. Hello, Hey audience. Recently, the ending of Squid Game Season 3 has been the center of debate across all forums and major news outlets, despite achieving record viewership. It's unclear if the Squid Game team was notified in advance that they would only have a mere 6 episodes to conclude the lingering story from Season 2. But looking at how quickly the series bids farewell to its audience, mixed reactions are understandable. To be fair, the final season possessed a rather promising concept, but that vision simply didn't translate fully to the screen. What do you think about the ending of Squid Game? For a deeper analysis, today we've decided to do a review with spoilers. If, for some reason, you haven't watched the show, please enjoy it first before returning. If you've already seen it or don't mind spoilers, let's discuss whether the 3rd season of the most successful Korean TV show in history is truly as bad as the criticisms suggest. The story so far, and the games. The story picks up immediately after Jaehyun's failed uprising in Season 2. Unfortunately, justice isn't served, and the very next day, the 4th game continues. Jaehyun is completely devastated at this point. He realizes his strength is no match for the organization, and the deaths of his teammates have become meaningless. Furthermore, after the previous conflict, the Red Team players have suffered significant losses. Now, when it comes to voting, the Green Team always has the majority, making the desire to stop the game an even more distant dream. The sole hope of player 456, Inspector Hwang, is also struggling at sea. Captain Park is still secretly leading a search team to deflect attention from the mysterious organization's island. Looking at the number of games in Season 2, we know that Season 3 features 3 remaining games: Hide and Seek, Jump Rope, and Aerial Squid Game. Overall, the challenges remain the key to Squid Game's success. They are simple enough for anyone to understand but dramatic enough to hold viewers' attention. This is perhaps most evident in the Jump Rope game. Although this challenge is much easier than the other 2, and felt a bit anticlimactic with the 2 beautiful statues only serving to hold the rope, it was still suspenseful as players pushed each other to increase the prize money. Compared to the games in previous seasons, this season's challenges lack a bit of diversity. All 3 games rely heavily on pure physical strength, showing a clear disadvantage for female players. However, they're still entertaining enough that if we make allowances, we can still be somewhat satisfied. The production, visual design, and bloody action sequences also need no further comment. Everything is meticulous, visually stunning, and brutal, true to Squid Game's nature. The flawed script. Unfortunately, the visuals are all that truly stand out in this return. Otherwise, the audience's mixed reactions are entirely justified, as Season 3 possesses arguably the weakest script in the entire franchise. The plotlines are disjointed and lack purpose, character psychology isn't convincingly developed, and the ending is rushed due to minimal screen time. Let's temporarily overlook the minor plot holes everyone is discussing, like Chun-Hai giving birth and walking normally within just 5 to 10 minutes. The real problem with Squid Game lies in its messy structure and illogical time allocation. This is most clearly demonstrated through none other than the center of the entire story, Jaehyun. After the failed uprising, his devastation is understandable. The first episode suggests that director Hwang Dong-hyuk didn't want Jaehyun to play the hero, but rather to realize the naivety of his ideals. A sad but brutally characteristic lesson of Squid Game. The problem is that Jaehyun gives up immediately upon entering the film, not caring about life or death, so he needs a reason to continue playing the 4th game. Thus, the script makes the protagonist turn to blaming Kang Dae-hun, who cowardly abandoned his teammates and fled in the previous season. This detail is quite contradictory because the man in the black mask directly told Jaehyun that this was the consequence of him playing the hero. His shifting responsibility to others gives me the impression that this character has reverted to episode 8 of Season 1, when he demanded to kill Sang-woo to avenge the North Korean girl. Hatred is always a motivation that audiences can easily empathize with, but it takes 2 whole episodes for Jaehyun to realize that the failed uprising was his fault, something I think he should have understood by the end of Season 2. This feels quite wasteful. By the time the protagonist once again decides to protect player 22's newborn, less than half the runtime remains. With only a few episodes, Not to mention the time that has to be spent on supporting characters. How can Jaehyun's climax be emotionally resonant enough? Character development and missed opportunities. Specifically, the protagonist in Season 3 feels rather sluggish. It's difficult to understand what Jaehyun is thinking as he barely does anything. Most of the time, player 456 is chained to the bed, and for two-thirds of the final game's duration, he just stands in a corner observing. Jaehyun says he will risk his life to protect the baby, but he has no concrete plan, even though he knows the remaining 6 greedy individuals will undoubtedly target him. Frankly, player 333's feigned infiltration plan was more effective, and if there were no mishaps, he might have even saved the baby. Looking back, Jaehyun's progress over 3 seasons has been quite unfortunately wasted. He's an interesting character, and the concept for the ending isn't bad either. Children are a valuable contrasting image between good and the sins within humanity. Throughout 3 seasons, we see many characters participate in the game so their children, the next generation, can have a better life. From the North Korean girl's younger brother, Sniper Naun's daughter, or Jaehyun himself, who also has a daughter. For this reason, the scene where he sacrifices himself so player 22's baby becomes the winner perfectly aligns with everything Squid Game has built. If you remember, in the first Squid Game match, Sangwoo also yielded victory to Jaehyun. Now it's his turn to return the favor, ceding the prize to someone else. It's a helpless ending to the endless cycle of the poor and powerless. But it also creates a sense of freedom, prompting much reflection on a character who, after so much hardship, still chooses to resist the system. Jaehyun uses himself to answer the frontman's question about human kindness. He refuses to finish, refuses to be a horse that only runs along the racetrack. It's quite sad that this ending is gradually becoming a joke on social media. Perhaps it's because the journey to that ending was built so hastily and anticlimactically. The character of the frontman, Hwang In-ho, also had a not bad development idea. Everything Jaehyun refuses to do, In-ho does the opposite. He is the opposing version of the protagonist, the person Jaehyun would become if he followed the game. Unfortunately, with the limited scenes they share, it's hard to feel any particular affection for the Black Masked manager beyond the fact that he's very powerful.